Hi, this is Gary with MacMost Now. On today's episode, let me show you how to correctly identify your Mac. Now, if you ever have to report trouble to Apple or perhaps post a question to the discussion forums at apple.com or for any other reason tell somebody what type of Mac you've got, it's important to be able to know what information you need to convey and to get the correct information. It can be very difficult for somebody to help you if they don't know really what you've got. It's like asking a mechanic what's wrong with your car but not telling them what type of car you've got. So let's take a look at how to figure out what Mac you've got, what to call it properly, and how to get important information like the amount of memory you've got, hard drive space, things like that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have the proper name for your Mac. Now you can go to your Apple menu here and About This Mac. I'm going to give you some basic information here about your Mac. But if you click the More Info button, then the screen that appears will tell you the name of your Mac. For instance, I'm currently using a Mac Pro. And it's important to look at this name and understand the difference between things. For instance, Apple doesn't really make a MacBook anymore. They make a MacBook Pro and a MacBook Air. Also, MacBook Pros are divided up into two very different types. The MacBook Pro with a Retina display and the regular MacBook Pro. Also, you'll see here some more information, like for instance it says this is the Mac Pro from early 2008. So this should give you a pretty complete picture of the name of your Mac. Now if you have an older Mac or you're running an older version of OS X, then you may see something very different when you hit the More Info button. In this case you get this list here on the left, and you can click on Hardware here at the top, and then you get a list here of information. And you got the same information here. Here it says you have a MacBook Pro 15-inch. So you can get the same thing there, it just doesn't look as nice. So whichever version of OS X you're running, it might look a little different, but the information is there. Now on this screen you can also notice other things like what type of processor you've got and things like that. What's really important for somebody to know might be the amount of memory you've got. So you may want to go and say, in this case I have a Mac Pro early 2008 and I have 10 gigs of memory in it. Then in addition on this screen, but also previously when we were just looking at About This Mac, bring that up there, we could see that we've got some of that information too, and it tells you the version of OS X you're running. And this is critically important for anybody that's trying to help you with something. You need to know what version. In this case you have version 10.8.3, and that's critical for you to tell someone. Another thing that's pretty critical is to know how much disk space you have available. If you're running out of disk space, then that could really give a hint to any problems that you're having. So in About This Mac you can click on Storage here and it will give you a rundown. I have several hard drives here, but it'll give you a rundown here of what's on each hard drive, how much space. So in this case, this is my main hard drive here. It tells me how much I have free out of the total. So you can see I have 102 gigs free out of about 500 gigs of space. Now if you're trying to talk to somebody about something going on inside of an app, then it's important you tell them what version of that app you've got. So for instance here I'm running Pages and say I have a question for somebody about Pages. Well, I can go to Pages, About Pages, and this is true for almost any application. You can go to the menu item with the name of the app and find an About box there. Sometimes for some apps it's under Help, but usually it's right here, and you go to that, and then this will give you the version number. Now in this case, for instance, it's not enough to say I'm using Pages 09. What you really want is the version number. In this case version 4.3. So there are the critical pieces of information you need to know about your Mac. You need to know the model name and also the version of that model, like Mac Pro 2008. You need to know how much memory you've got. You need to know how much storage space you have on your drive and how much is available. And you need to know the version of OS X that you're running. In addition to that, it also helps to give the version number of the app that you're discussing. Hope you found this useful. Till next time, this is Gary with MacMost Now. If you found this video useful, there's one thing you can do for me in return. It won't cost you anything and it'll just take you a few seconds. If you're not already at MacMost.com, go there and then look for the video you just watched and go to that page. Underneath the video you'll see a bunch of different links that help you share the video with friends. Take a second to click the like button. This sends a signal out to the rest of the internet that the video is worth watching. Thanks.